Hey, what's good, people? This is episode 101 of Sports Debate Tuesday. And that man looks like Timmy B. I'm Jason DeBellis. The episode starts. Buckle up, people. The episode starts right now. What's good, Tim?
What's going on, my friend?
Oh, I'll tell you what's going on. This is episode 101. And giving the 101 lesson is the maestro himself. The guy, the host from the Fight and Sight podcast, MMA commentator, the one, the only, the incomparable Timmy B. I am Jason DeBellis. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn, and we're gonna have fun. We're gonna talk MMA, and there's nothing like a good pay-per-view, brother, that brings us both together again, right?
Oh, baby.
Right.
Or the one of the worst pay-per-views, but we'll see what
I
you
know.
think. Yeah.
It's so bad. It didn't even make topic one. So topic
No.
one, teleprompter, roll it. All right, we have UFC 297 coming up, but for topic one might be still tempted to look ahead to UFC 300. So, though it's a long way off, it's actually shaping up to be one of the best cards in history. It's a mixture of familiar names, stylistic matchup dreams, scores to settle, and interesting fights for the diehards like us. For example, our guy, Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. Talk about
Dude,
two legends,
he
right?
just got that fight. I'm so friggin' happy for him, man, because Jim Miller, obviously, right, coming off the big win last week or whatever it is,
Yep.
calls it out going, hey, I've been on 100, I've been on 200, get me on 300, right?
Absolutely. I'm gonna
The
give you.
names came out, right? So the names, they started sprinkling out names because UFC has done well by Jim Miller in the sense that they've been giving him good matchups. Not cans,
No.
but not young, hungry lions. Like they're giving him appropriate fights. But for 300, you got to bring in a big name. And the two names that were going around were, three names was Paul Felder,
Uh-huh.
which I said, get the hell out of here. This guy, it's so stupid. I
No.
hate him in general, but I don't think he deserved that fight.
I don't even think he's
And
interested in fighting, but go ahead.
yeah, and it's like, look, okay, Paul Felder, we could do a whole episode on Paul Felder, but he had his emotional breakdown in the cage. He had his emotional retirement. You're going to throw all that away to come back for this? Like, is it for a money grab? What the hell is this for? And then it just didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But the other name they had was Matt Brown, which was
The
crazy because
immortal. Come on. Yes.
Matt Brown, legend. He's got to be on that card anyways.
Yeah.
So if he's not, I'll be very upset. He's been on our podcast. He's actually, thanks to Spotify, he was our number one watched podcast of the year, which was surprising to me. But that dude is crazy. I thought that was a good fight. But then they threw out Bobby Green's name, and I'm like, no way. And then they give it to Bobby. The respect to Bobby Green to get that fight is amazing. And I do like Bobby Green's chances in that fight big time.
100%. Listen, we're definitely going to explore the old line versus new line pass the baton matches that some of those lines aren't able to give up. And we're also going to maybe talk a little bit about the reward system and people rewarding fighters, taking these last minute fights, getting caught on some not ready stuff, right? Bobby Green took a lot of last minute fights, as did Jim Miller. And I think they kind of deserve each other in that respect, even though no one will say anything about the immortal Matt Brown. All right. So, Timmy, as we go to UFC 297, which is this weekend, and as we explore and spitball a little bit on 300, let's go back. Let's go back in time. We're going to pull an ultimate reversal here, okay? And I'm going to give us a chance to look back in retrospect to the previous milestones. That is UFC 100 and that is UFC 200. And with the results already in the books for the previous two, and with another milestone on the way, allow us to indulge. Which UFC turned out to be the better card? Was it UFC 100 or was it UFC 200? I'm going to let you go first, but I got to do something for our audience. I'm going to put up the cards, 100 and 200, and just do a lineup, and we can walk and talk through it. Cool? Let's do it.
Sounds good.
Go ahead, buddy. You're up.
What am I doing?
Which one do you find better? Which one did you like better? UFC 100 or
I don't
UFC
know,
200?
man. You know what? It is really hard. I will say something that I came across online the other day was people were complaining about the mat how it looked at 200. Remember, it was that golden yellow mat.
All right. Oh
I think.
God.
Okay, wait. You didn't like that?
I did not. No.
I liked it.
Oh.
I think I'm in the vast minority on this.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that. I like that they had changed it up to give it at least a little bit of a different appeal for that event. I do hope that at 300 they do something different with the mat, maybe not make it yellow. Do something, but like I like that because it gave it like an extra huzzah, right, for the event. That said, the main event of 200 was Nunes and Tate, which is probably not the greatest. You had a drugged up Brock Lesnar with Mark Hunt as the co-main. Daniel Cormier versus Anderson Silva. We knew that was a baloney
Three
fight.
days notice. 3 days
Yeah, that
notice. If you
yeah,
remember,
and then
Cormier and Jones was supposed to happen,
right.
and then picograms happened, or I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard, man. It's hard to look at 200 as being a great card. I think probably the Cormier Jones was what they were banking on, and
Right.
then it ends up a little bit tough. There's a lot of like chauvinists as well that do not like female fights and or female main events. So that's kind of hard. 100, headlined by Lesnar getting his return fight against Mir. That was pretty awesome. Of course, you got George St. Pierre, Mr. Decision. You've got Dan Henderson over Bisping with that, iconic, iconic knockout. Which shout out to Dan Henderson and his guys out at Team Quest because he runs now Henderson's Fight Night, HFN, Hendo's Fight Night.
Yeah.
It's a league out there, and the
The
icon
icon. The
and the
icon.
icon is him like flying through the air, right? So that became an incredible fight. Yeah, there you go. I don't know, man. I guess I'd have to say 100 for the fact that maybe the fights were probably a little bit better at the time, and then also reaching 100 as you just did last week on on your show here with episode 100. 100 is a big number. And I think UFC at the time where they were to have made it to 100, that's in that period where they started getting their legs under them and everything. I think 100 probably was a big thing, man. So I'm going to say 100 was better for me for what it represented.
All right. Timmy B.
Terrible.
Timmy B.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love everything you said. And you know what?
Except.
If we were going through the adapt and improvise card, which turned into our rock star lineup, I'm going all the way to the UFC 200. But I want to talk about UFC 100 first, as I go back off camera and give our audience another look and an appreciation, and even a zoom in, on just what the bottom of the card is. You got Lawler and Dalloway here. You got TJ Grant. Remember TJ Grant? That's when TJ Grant was TJ Grant before he wasn't fighting anymore. John Jones, hey, look at this guy. Just I think that was a guillotine choke. Yep. Any card that has Mark Coleman and Stefan Bonner not on the main card is deep. Sexy Yama, right? Remember
Sexy
him
Yama, baby.
doing his thing? Alan Belcher, that was one of the guys that said, I don't care about Huzamir Pahares' submissions. I'm going to beat him to death. Fitch, Thiago, no big surprise decision, right? George St. Pierre, the most not talked about fight on that main card because it was so one-sided. He made Thiago Alves, who actually recently finished, like destroyed Matt Hughes, right? Just made it look uneventful. But then you got Brock and Frank and talking about I don't care about no Budweiser and all that stuff. So there's a lot to be said there as far as entertainment, as far as a mixed martial artist, right? It had something for everybody. All right. So now with that being said, I've already made up my mind. It's 100, but let's take a look.
Okay.
Let's take a look at the adapt and overcome, adapt and improvise card of the main card of UFC 200. First of all, that was supposed to be Cormier and Jones, right? And we were really expecting something like Amanda Nunes and like Holly Holm, but Misha Tate went and messed that up and choked out Holly Holm. So they're the main event, right? Brock Lesnar, swear to God, promise, not on steroids. Take my word for it. No need to test me. Mark Hunt, screwed again, right? Daniel Cormier and Anderson Silva with 3 days notice, I'm telling you, would have been a better match if they had more time to video and prepare Anderson. I'm telling you, Daniel did the right thing. He would love to stand and strike with Anderson, but not without proper preparation. And the one time he did in the third round, he got, he thought his chin strong enough, but I'm telling you, he almost got sniped. But really, it was just multiple rounds of Daniel Cormier, constant pressure, doing what he did in Strikeforce, right? Now,
Right.
Travis Brown, Cain Velasquez, what? Travis Brown, I think, beat Overeem at that time, right? So, Kat Zingano only lost to Ronda Rousey at that time. She only had one loss, a submission loss, right? Kevin Gastelum, Johnny Hendricks was a champion earlier that year, maybe, or the year before. TJ, Rafael Assunção, you could have that match today. Northcutt, and look at the pre. We don't mean the pre-card, we mean the pre-card. Come on, Lozan, Sanchez, Musasi, who knew, right? Thiago Santos, Miller, Takanori Gomi, a legend on not the preliminary card, but the preliminary card. So had to give them their due attention because I didn't want it to make it look like I was I got my mind made up. I don't even want to talk about the other card. It's not a discussion. It is a discussion. It is an absolutely fun discussion. Did you see the depth of what was on the undercard, what is at that present day, and what was to come with John Jones and O'Brien, and wow, just a lot of fun. Cool, man. Any thoughts before we move on to topic 2 about UFC 100 to 200 to 300?
I just think, no other comments, but I mean, Sexy Yama, one of the greatest legends that really that the West does not know about. Right? I don't think that especially people probably today watching realize who Sexy Yama was for
absolute
Asian
rock
martial
star.
arts. Yeah. And although to the young kids listening, if you watched Physical 100 on Netflix, he was the old guy on that reality show that was kicking ass. So if you watch Physical 100, Sexy Yama is on that show.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, you did not know that?
No, but I did watch some of his cage entrances and ring entrances in Japan. The man is he was a movie star.
He's a movie star. So there's a reality show on Netflix called Physical 100. It's a Korean game show.
Right.
And it's all these like super athletes. So it's all like weightlifters, Olympic skiers, blah blah blah. All these like fancy like jacked up super athletes, and they compete in feats of strength and endurance and whatever, and Sexy Yama is one of the competitors. But he's so old, right? Like he's much older than the other guys, but he still held his own and he still looks damn good. But yeah, that's who that is. And so I think that show is pretty popular. Some people might recognize him from there.
We all want to look old like that, I'll tell you that. Maybe that's an Asian thing, right? Maybe that's an Asian thing. There's no such thing as a middle-aged Asian. They're young and then one day they're old. It's crazy. But and also there was also this thing where the Japanese MMA fighters, when they fight in the UFC, they didn't have, only Yushin Okami had some level of success. Takanori Gomi, it was really sad to see because you wish he fought some of those guys early and this and that. And we can go on and on and on, right? I mean, it was just the
market. It was just the market at the time, right? UFC had to get their fighters from somewhere, and bringing them over from Asia probably was just not the most financially viable thing. Like, you gotta respect them for what they did. They home grew their talent, right? With Tough. Because by that time you're seeing like there's Bonner and there's Forrest Griffin and stuff like that. They were growing up their own talent, and kudos to them for doing it because it worked.
Yeah. I mean, Tough was the ultimate reversal, right? You're not in the red anymore. You're in the black. Thanks to this show where on Spike TV, everyone was calling each other, hey, these two white guys are punching each other in the face. You got to take a look at this, right? So that's right. That was, and big up to Dana. We got, look, we're purists, but we'll go back to the casuals. And I want you to Google search or YouTube search, do you want to be a fighter? That speech where Dana was just panicking because it's like, he's got a house full of fighters and no one wanted to fight, right? That was like the prequel that led to, right? That led to
everything.
That do you want to be a fighter speech, right? Whole bunch of people. I miss my girlfriend. I don't want to fight. I'm not ready. My ingrown toenail. God knows what. Do you want? Oh, he just panicked and
Yeah.
it worked out.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
right, so we're going to topic 2. So for those of you that didn't care about us reflecting back in our nostalgia and decided to click and scroll ahead to topic 2, here you are. Welcome back. Thank you for having us back in your living rooms, or if you're at Starbucks, or
Yeah.
if you're in the bunker, or
Yeah.
if you're in the man cave. So let's go to topic 2. Okay, we had some great debates in regards to goat conversations. This is one of the things when you came on my show, we had so much fun with it. We were doing
Yeah.
it in weight categories. We were breaking it down divisions just for the heck of it. So today we're gonna go from Fort Miners, remember the name, to Beyonce's Who Runs the World? Girls. Who runs the world? Girls. Who runs the world? Girls. Who are we? Do we run? We run this world. All right. So the reason why I'm saying Who Runs the World, Girls, because this GOAT conversation is dedicated to the ladies of all weight classes, the ladies of all MMA franchises, including Invicta, Strikeforce, all the way up to when Dana said, okay, women can fight here too. All right. So Timmy B, who are your top 5 greatest female fighters of all time? You went first last time. I'm gonna go this time. All right, this way you can tell me how crazy I am. All right, I'm going 5-1. Number 5, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Okay, I had to pronounce it. I got it on my teleprompter, and I still butchered it. But with a name like Jason DeBias, you gotta forgive me because you ain't get my name right either. We'll just call her Joanna. Right? She's got a nickname for the people that can't pronounce it. Joanna Champion. And the reason why they called her champion is because from the moment she won that belt to the moment she was a defending champion, she was professional. She was a great marketing tool. She was also an international superstar that had Poland. So she's my number 5. Number 4. Some of them try to rhyme, but they can't rhyme like this. Ronda Rousey. Rowdy Rousey. I mean, Roddy Piper, I have a really hard time with the rowdy thing. So I'm just going to go Ronda Rousey. Undefeated in Strikeforce. Had a terrific match with Miesha Tate that probably caught Dana's eye. Had a very dangerous match as with her debut in the UFC because the former Marine whose name escapes me, what was her name, her first match? Because she was in danger of getting choked out. Yes, Liz Carmouche is a dangerous match, and we all know that could have went another way. So great resilience.
She had her. She
really did. But big up to Ronda, just reaching down to something that knew what was at stake. And from that point on, armbar this, armbar that, became this sensation, this blue check, one of our first blue check celebrities, and there she is. Number 3, Chris Cyborg. Chris Cyborg was such a dangerous fighter that 1, they made a division for her in the UFC, and 2, once she left, they got rid of the division because no one wanted to be in the division because no one wanted to fight her. Only one person wanted to fight her, and that was the one person that came through, and nobody else came through. Ronda Rousey could have easily fought at 145. In fact, she did fight at 145 at Strikeforce and ran to 135 and said, "If you want me, Chris, come get me," knowing that woman would have to suck herself dry. Number 2, Valentina Shevchenko. Just give me that dance, girl. Just give me that. I don't know if it's an Irish dance. I don't know if it's a Lima, Peru dance. I don't know if it's a Russian dance. I don't know. I don't care. She has, very much like Demetrius Johnson, has defeated a lot of her opponents in different ways. Submissions, long, convincing decisions, 5 rounds of a butt whooping, knockout, great smile. Her English is better than my English is, which isn't saying much. So apologies and compliments to her. But give mine to Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and the only reason why she's not number 1 is because she lost 2 close decisions to my number 1 fighter, and that is Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes seemed like a middle of the pack fighter, got submitted by Kat Zingano, but from that point on was like, nope, I need new coaches. I need a new approach, and approach she did. All the way up to Ronda Rousey, 45 seconds, felt disrespected, got no promotion, and from that point on, Miesha, you want some too? Boom. In fact, got Miesha first, right? Holly, you never been finished? Okay. Yes, you were, but you're going to get finished again, all right? Oh, Chris Cyborg, I could go up to 145 and beat you. Not only beat her, face planted her. And us as MMA people never thought in our lives we would see Chris Cyborg not only beat in that fashion where it's a walk away. It was I mean, I'm not talking about Mark Hunt walk away. There's levels to the face plant walk away, but I had that flashback.
Yeah.
So that's my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Amanda, the lioness, Nunez.
I'm so sad that you're wrong though. That's the only problem. That
That's
is
why you
five.
get to go second. That's why you get to go
No,
second. You see
I
how I
like your
planned
five,
this?
man. I like your five. I like your five. Of course, my five has a few similars on there, but I'm glad to say that they're not the same and they're in different positions. My five starts with Gina Carano. Okay, the reason why Gina Carano is on this list
Yay! Sorry.
is for the men
Mhm.
watching this podcast. Now you can put up on the screen a picture of Gina Carano in her prime. God damn it, in her prime. Now, Gina Carano, for those that don't know, is Cara Dune from Star Wars, or she was in Deadpool. So that actress, or she was in the revamp of American Gladiators, but Gina Carano, prime Gina Carano, finished her career before Ronda Rousey even had her first pro fight. But Gina Carano was the one kicking ass and looking good while doing it,
Man.
all throughout Elite XC pretty much, and was like in that kind of like that shadow promotion, right? The one that wasn't UFC, but it was this weird upstart Elite XC kicking ass out there. But she was good looking, she was kicking ass, and she really, I would say, paved the way for Ronda to then pave the way for women's sports. You know what I mean?
Right.
You spoke about Liz Carmouche. I just had her on my podcast last month, and she talked about the push, especially back in the day, but even now about like how women, like, you got to look good, you also got to fight good. Like, there was a push on that. Gina Carano really fit the mold, man. So Gina Carano is my number five. My number four is Joanna Jędrzejczyk, or Joanna Champion, whatever you want to call her, for all the reasons that you said, right? Oh, hello. Okay. Now this
That's
podcast just
Gina.
got interesting. So Joanna Champion, she's my number four, right? Obviously, she brought in finishes to the strawweight division, which I think that was something that we had never really seen in the UFC before, right? Up until then, it wasn't. But Joanna came in and was murdering chicks. So
Yes.
Joanna, of course, plus her personality, right? Her personality and her outgoingness, that she sold that division, which has lasted till today. Number three on my list is really my favorite current female fighter, Stamp Fairtex. So Stamp Fairtex out in ONE FC, she's doing it all. She's a
Huh.
three division champ, three sport champion, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and MMA. She's got the look, she's got the style, dances her way into the ring, dances her way out of it, kicks ass. She is one to watch. If you don't know who the hell I'm talking about, because a lot of you do not watch ONE FC, just go look up Stamp Fairtex and you'll see what the hell I'm talking about.
Spell it for
She
my people.
was, what's that?
Spell it for my people.
ONE FC?
The last name of the fighter.
Fairtex?
Fairtex.
Fairtex.
Gotcha.
Stamp
All
Fairtex.
all
Go
right,
look her
cool.
up,
All
okay?
right, common knowledge. My bad.
I don't
Jeez.
know who you're talking about. Okay. Stamp Fairtex is my number three. Number two, I've got Chris Cyborg. I think Chris Cyborg, she epitomized the new breed of women fighters, right? She's the one that beat Gina Carano, retired Gina Carano, and Cyborg for a long time was the, when you thought of a woman MMA fighter, you thought of Cyborg, right? So I think she just held women's MMA for a long, long time. I think she's kick-ass. She's still doing her thing. She's boxing now or doing whatever. But I think, Cyborg deserves to be up there for who she is. Interestingly, your number one didn't even make my list, my friend, because Amanda Nunes is not on my list. My number one is the only UFC Funko Pop that I have, Ronda Rousey, baby.
What? What?
Wait, you're mad that Ronda Rousey is my pick, or you're mad that I have a Funko Pop of
No,
Ronda Rousey?
but Ronda Rousey deserves to be on this list, but you got her number one?
Number one, man. You know why? Because God damn it, for all the shit that I see online with people saying that women fighters suck, women shouldn't be on fight cards. Recently, now the big thing, like Sean Strickland, on his commentary this week was talking bad about it, saying, "Hey, if women MMA fighters were on their own separate division, would you even watch?" No. So disrespectful.
You're right.
Canadian Charles Jourdain was just tweeting the other day. about like women fights. Who cares about those? Blah blah. And it's like, dude, do you guys not train with women in your gym? Like, I don't know how you can go out and say such disrespectful stuff. But mind you, Ronda Rousey paved the way for UFC to have women's fights. I really enjoy women's fights. I don't think that they should be gone. I think that it is enjoyable and that it is a different thing to our enjoyment of the sport. She went in there, she kicked ass, she looked good doing it. She had her attitude, which was killer, right? Like she had the personality, she had everything to sell. She sold pay-per-views like no one else has ever done. Barely any men can sell pay-per-views like Ronda did. I just think Ronda deserves it. When you think about a female MMA fighter today, I think a lot of people think of Ronda Rousey. As much as you thought about Cyborg before, I think Rousey has done it. And I don't think people think about Nunes, Joanna, uh, anybody, any other female fighters, as much as they think about Ronda right now. Ronda still really is that image,
Still relevant.
and
Yeah.
she's still relevant. And I'm predicting that she is going to fight on UFC 300. I think she fights Miesha Tate on UFC 300.
I think Miesha Tate would take that fight, and I also think.
I would love for
I
her to
also
get that
think
fight.
what I don't want to see is manufactured animosity. It was a long time ago, and not even Ronda
No,
Rousey.
no.
And not even
These
Ronda
chicks
Rousey
hate
would
each
have
other.
would come in with a grudge. What? Miesha Tate don't hate nobody. She don't hate that chick no more.
No, no. Are you
Miesha Tate got
kidding?
bigger fish to fry. And Miesha Tate's been there the whole damn time while she was off wrestling. So come on, nah.
No, I think that there would be true animosity between them.
It would be created by Ronda, because Ronda, and if you remember her fights,
But if you're
a lot of that she had to self create to motivate her. She had this Michael Jordan thing going on where all someone had to say was, "I heard you were talking junk about me." It could have been wrong. Just hearing it, that was it. The
Yeah,
same thing she did with Holly Holm with the stare down.
but
This girl's pretending to be nice. I'm like, what the Holly ain't do shit to you? What are you talking
no,
about?
no, no,
You
no.
just
Yeah,
no,
but
come
that was her
on.
attitude, man. That was her attitude. That was her style. That was what her energy was that she brought. I think if Misha Tate, the way that she just performed against Raging Panda Julia Avila a couple months ago, Misha Tate was a beast. But if you dare bring in Ronda Rousey to fight me and think that I'm going to lay down for Ronda Rousey at UFC 300, Misha Tate better fire herself up and freaking go out there to kill Ronda
Wouldn't
Rousey.
need
And
to.
I think Misha Tate totally turns on like a nasty attitude.
Take
You
take
cannot lose 3 times to Rousey. You
Take.
can't lose
I
three
was just gonna
times.
say that. Take all of the animosity out and just consider that you lost twice the two times you fought her. That's motivation enough.
But
I mean,
yes, but
Tamisha
the
don't need all
motivation,
that other extra cheese to eat her slice of pizza.
the anger will come. First of all, you can never have too much cheese on pizza, but the anger will come from her thinking that she's being fed to Rousey for 300 and thinking this is disrespectful. I'm still
Ooh,
a beast.
if
I'm
she's
still
listening
a
to this podcast, if she wasn't thinking about it before, listen to me and Timmy B, and she's gonna be
I'm
like,
still
"Oh,
I'm still a god competitor. I'm still gunning for that bantamweight championship. I just took out
yeah,
another ranked competitor.
yeah,
Don't be feeding me to Ronda Rousey for a clown show.
yeah."
Dude, I'm gonna kill Rousey
And
and then claim my title shot.
And by the way, an up and coming competitor, a lion, a pass the torch match, right?
Right.
Another
Yeah.
lion or lioness in this case that wasn't just ready to give up the goods. But I
Yeah.
want to revisit this before we go on to our subject.
Hmm.
So basically, Ronda Rousey, all right? I think you are right when you said that she made women's MMA interesting. I think you are right when you saw her on a card. There were people that came exclusively just to
Yeah.
see her. I think you are right, because if you consider some of the matches that had boring main events that people were leaving the arena, everybody
Mhm.
stayed for Ronda Rousey. In fact,
Yeah.
if a card fell apart, if Ronda Rousey was still the headline, she carried it. All right, her
Yeah.
and Holly Holm carried it. I don't even remember that card in Australia. I only remember that fight. Okay, when she submitted Kat Zagano in 13 seconds. I don't even remember before that. But I remember that fight. So you have a strong argument for your body of work and why she belongs in the greatest of all time, top 5. But to have her at number 1, the blasphemy, the
Number one, my friend.
blasphemy.
Do you know how many? Hold on. Do you know when we were going out to the bars to watch UFC pay-per-views,
Mm-hmm.
if Ronda Rousey was on that card, the number of women that would be in the bar to watch that fight. I think Ronda Rousey created a whole generation of female fighters, or opened up the minds of female athletes that they could be fighters. She did more for the sport than just headline UFC events and bring in numbers for UFC. I think she inspired women around the world to do what she's doing.
Absolutely.
And I think that when we're looking at young fighters today, like Stan Fairtex and like whoever else,
Hmm.
they owe a lot to Rousey for doing all this, for the motivation of it, if not for opening the doors for the money of it.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I got her number one.
I was just trying to, because we were having two different conversations here. I was just trying to make those two conversations one. You were talking about what she did to the sport. I was on that Bill Parcells thing. You are what your record says you are. Your record show you got kicked in the head by a woman who's lost almost every single fight since, and you got finished in 45 seconds to the true GOAT, the greatest of all time, Amanda Nunes. So, oh my God,
yeah.
I'm so glad you said that, because you think you're alone in your argument? If we had a bandwagon fallacy and did a poll, how many people would have Ronda Rousey on their list? Probably more to support your argument, maybe, than mine. I'm having an open mind, but what I wanted to do was make sure our two different conversations met somewhere in that, which side of the middle, right? Everything's in the middle in life, right? Which side of the middle? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool,
yeah.
man. Nice, because
No, I got you.
we could go on. You're right, man. There's no way in hell this show is going to be 50 minutes. You're like, guys, before we went on the air, I was like, hey, if we do this right, we could bang this out in 50 minutes. And you're like, we won't.
No, we've never done 50 minutes. That's the problem.
When in life, right? Have we ever?
No,
Timmy B, Fight and Sight podcast, MMA commentator, has always called always come when I said his name, and I've always promised a hard stop. And geez, here we go again. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Topic three. We bring your MMA pick 6, but in our case, we're going back to pick 5, plus the 1. All right. So I don't know if I put that on the email, and if I didn't, if I'm catching you on some not ready stuff, let's just go by what we emailed. All right. So I bring your attention to number 1. We got the champion, the reigning, not reigning, but the defending champion, Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. All right. Now
Dricus.
That's why I wanted you to go first, because I wanted you to say, Jason, let's get one thing straight before we move on. Okay. Who you got?
Well, Dricus du Plessis was my first guest of the year on my podcast. And let me explain to you, the outpouring of support and viewers and fans that came out to watch my stupid podcast was 10 times what I would normally get from anybody, far beyond 10 times, even when I think about the engagement, just flooded with comments and flooded with whatever. He is a great guy. I really like Dricus du Plessis. That said, I really do like Sean Strickland, not for who he is, but for who he is, for sure. I mean, we could go on that too. But okay, my pick, I see the countdown going.
No, you got 30 seconds. I got 30, but go ahead, keep going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that means I even got less. I got Dricus du Plessis taking the title this weekend in my hometown of Toronto, Canada. I think Dricus du Plessis gets it done. I think Sean is wonderful, but Dricus will not be taking him lightly, and Dricus will be putting the pressure on and not letting him walk him down. Dricus du Plessis, new middleweight champion of the world.
I think, in fact, DPP will be walking him down. I think Sean Strickland's been very used to being a counter fighter, because his stand-up fighter and he only has a 76-inch reach, but he knows how to use it, right? And when he's peppering people, there's a lot of sting and power behind that make people think twice before they come in on him. So it is an MMA enthusiast, an MMA alcoholic, a Friday night guy who just wants to see two guys punch each other in the face. It is their wild dream, because you got a guy who can counter, and you got a guy who's willing to lead the dance. DPP can lead the dance, or he can counter. He's really good. So at some point, there's going to be some rock'em sock'em robots out there, but I think DPP is a little bit more of an accurate striker than he is, and I think he's going to win by TKO, probably the second round. I get DPP.
I apologize. I know this is your show, but it's DDP.
Yeah, DPP.
You keep saying DPP.
I know, DPP
which sounds sexual.
Well, DPP is deferment payment plan. You know what DPP? Yeah, you know me.
yeah, there you go.
So it's DDP.
DDP, yeah.
Like Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah, baby. Bang!
So disrespectful. The blasphemy.
Yeah.
Timmy B, the blasphemy. I bring your attention to our match number 2 of the Pick Six. We have Rocky Pennington against Mayra Bueno Silva. All right, I'm going to go first on this one. Rocky, a while ago, was sitting at 10-8 as I start the clock. She was sitting at 10-8, and it looks like, after that Amanda Nunes fight, it looked like she didn't even want to fight anymore. All of a sudden, from 10-8, she's 15-8 because she found a way. She found her love for the sport back, and she found a way to take hits. And maybe her training or maybe her coaching is a little bit different. And I think it's going to be a similar result. I have her beating Bueno Silva by decision. All right. But she needs to watch out for these slick submissions. This chick is gnarly.
My turn.
Yep.
You still had 3 seconds. You didn't use it. I'm going to say, God dang it. I do not like this fight at all. I don't like the fight for Raquel Pennington, who's one of my favorites of all time. I wanted Raquel Pennington to fight Juliana Pena. I thought that would be a good fight, interesting because of both tough veterans, etc.
Yeah.
And I would have given Raquel a slight edge in that one against Juliana, but against who Juliana calls Chitara, I don't know, man. God dang it, it's a tough one. But if I had to put money on it, which I have, I'm betting on Rocky.
Yeah. I go Rocky on this. I just think she's really good.
She just got married. She just got married to Tisha Torres. They just had a baby. She's very excited. She's, life is on the up and up. She's been doing well in her fights. So I'm going to give her the edge.
Yeah, I got to go with you on that. And only because just because someone's slicking submissions doesn't mean Rocky's going to get caught in those submissions. And then she gets caught, that doesn't mean she's going to tap, right? The last time she was even submitted was 2012. That was Kat Zingano, right? And that was Invicta. It's been a minute. The woman is hard to take down. She's hard to submit. And again, Amanda Nunes can really take your will away to fight. I mean, that was a scary fight where she told the coach.
Yeah.
Remember that? She told the coach she won it out, and the coach had to talk her off.
And they're like, no, you get back out there and get your.
Oh man, that can be its own topic discussion, right? Yeah. So I'm going with her on this, but keep our eye out for Buena Silva because she's just really. I mean, I watched some of these submissions. Speaking of submissions,
you want Rocky to win because you want to see Rocky versus Juliana next.
Nice.
Buena Silva versus Juliana Pena is like a goddamn fight night main event. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It doesn't have the star power that your bantamweight title needs to have. That's the honest truth.
But at some point, they got to build their star, and they're starting here, right? No one's asking them to main event or carry this, right? You could put them on the bottom of the card, and then they're bottom of the card, which is where they are, and life goes on, right? So, Speaking of submissions, we got Neil Magny versus Mike Mallet or Mallet. So I'm gonna go first on this one, but. The 60 seconds we're just 60 seconds to pick a winner, and then if we spill over, we spill over.
Okay.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, don't penalize me. Okay.
So this guy, Mike, has more submissions or more subs than actually Jersey Mike. Okay. When you look at his guillotine chokes, when you look at that ninja choke, and you're thinking it's so tight, an anaconda snake will look at him and be like, yo, my man, didn't know they had your kind. And Neil can get caught in these submissions, but Neil's only been caught by like the best of the best. Damian Maia, if you remember, Rafael Dos Anjos. But I think it's going to end in similar fashion, Miller, by submission.
I don't like this fight. I don't like what they're doing with Magny with this fight. I think that, the last time that we had a card in Canada in Vancouver, they went, I think it was 5 for 5 or 6 for 6, the Canadians. In this card, we've got 9 Canadians, and Mike Mallet is the highest on the card. So he will be the last Canadian to fight. He will be fighting for Canadian pride, for Canadian honor. And, depending on how the other Canadians do on the card, he may need to either mop up, wrap up, or get redemption. Mike Mallet, young guy, very hungry, hometown crowd. Neil Magny getting up there in age, so the hairline proves it. I see Mike Malott taking this very easily. If you've got money, you put it on Mike Malott.
I go second round submission, maybe even the end of the first. The man just gets to work really, really, really fast.
He's gonna be hyped up.
He's 4-0 in the UFC, right?
He's strong mentally,
Yeah.
very, very strong mentally.
I mean, look, 10-1, 6 subs, 4-0 in the UFC. 10,
Yeah,
so 6 of his 10 wins were submissions, right?
yeah,
And I got
yeah,
love for my Brooklyn brother. All right.
yeah,
I'm always gonna
yeah,
cheer for Neil Magny, Brooklyn born, Brooklyn bred. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
we always stick together. But like you said, we talking about putting money on something. Sorry, bruh. You know,
Yeah.
we could put that on the back shelf just for this one match. All right. So our next,
A little shameless plug.
please.
He has also been on my podcast. So my last three picks, they've all been on my podcast. It's very hard for me to pick against people that have taken the time to show up. So
Canadian love. And DDP is like a special Canadian guest, right? I mean, if you told me DDP was from Canada and not South Africa, I would have believed you. Look at his build.
yeah,
The guy looks like
yeah,
George St. Pierre on performance enhancing drugs, like the upper
yeah,
body,
yeah,
the legs, the
yeah.
Jean-Claude Van Damme shorts, and the same respect way that he talks to people that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see
No, no, no.
GSP
He's
do.
a gentleman, a
Yeah.
true gentleman. Yeah. All
So,
right, let's go. Next one. Chris
sorry.
Curtis.
Chris Curtis versus Marc-André Barriault. All right. So, Curtis, you go first.
Ugh, I don't like this fight. One of the things I
I
was
know
thinking,
why.
a lot of times you see like people in the same gym, they do well. They all get a win together. They all lose together, right? Chris Curtis being BFFs with Sean Strickland. If I'm gonna think that Sean Strickland is gonna lose, then I think it may be preceded by his friend losing.
Yep.
That's my magical way of thinking. But Chris Curtis is a very strange dude. Marc-Andre Barrial, I don't know too much about him in all honesty. He's a little bit of a hidden gem, I guess, for Canada. He's in the home country, but I would give this to Chris Curtis, going against everything I just said.
Yeah.
I just don't know that Barrial has it in him, and I think Chris Curtis is a pretty good dude.
Well, I got 15 seconds left, but I really only need 10 to say this. Chris Curtis can say the same thing Nate Diaz says. Check my lineup. Who did you fight? Okay, if you look at Curtis's lineup, not even talking about the people in the UFC. It took a long time for him just to get to the UFC. He's only 4-2-1 in the UFC. But if you look at the lineup of the people that he fought just to get here, he is an absolute dog. All right. Now I wanted to talk on something else about Marc-Andre. This might be a loser leaves town match for him, right? He's 5-5 in the UFC, 5-5-1, right?
Is he?
Yeah, and he's had a great win over
Yeah.
Marquez, right? I think a stoppage over Marquez.
Whatever.
And
No.
Eric Andrews, a win over Eric Andrews, allowed him to stay for one more match, right? But this might be a loser leaves town for him, not for Curtis, because Curtis is entertaining even if he loses, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's right. If you remember Vanderlei Silva, man, I felt like he lost at every match he fought in the UFC and still got fights. So I just wanted to add that this might be a loser leaves town for him. So there's a lot of pressure on that fighter.
Yeah.
Fight number 5, we're going Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. All right. Now I'm gonna start my clock. I'll go first. Evloev is 7-0 in the UFC, 17-0 altogether. And when he takes you down, it's a Khabib-like thing where he might not finish you, but by the time the second round comes, he saps your will to want to fight. You know what I'm saying? You can't get up, and he's giving you noogies. You know what I'm saying? And some of them are harder than others. And I think I expect to see this against a very competitive 19-2 Arnold Allen, who, by the way, got his 12-fight win streak snapped by Max Holloway. So this is not a slut. This is a match of interest, my man. The floor is yours.
Really? A match of interest?
Hell yeah.
I don't know. Fine. I'm gonna give it to AAA, Almighty Arnold Allen. I'm gonna go with him. I think there's a lot of hype around him. I think the UFC really wants to push him being an English fighter, and I think that he's got some name power behind him, some star power. I think they want that English market. Evloev is no pushover, but I do think if any mysterious hands are afoot here, I think Arnold Allen gets the win, or that Arnold Allen is being pushed to get this win. So I'm going to go with AAA.
Yeah, but it's a match of interest because Arnold Allen is really, really good at evading submissions. The guy
Is it a match of interest because it's Evloev though? That's what I mean.
right there you go.
No. No, yeah.
No, well, he's a decision machine, but every now and then
So no,
you have a decision machine get caught in clip coming in, and that's something that Arnold
yeah.
Allen does. Now, will Allen do it? I don't think so. I think Mosvar is going to win anyway, but
Mm.
just like Nick Diaz, check my lineup. Check my lineup of fighters, right? Wins over Nick Lentz, Gilbert Melendez, Youssef, Dan Hooker, Calvin Qatar, right? Or Cater. You're the master of name corrections today. That's where you're going to be carrying water for me, bro. All right, so moving on to the sixth pick. We have Brad Katona. My match of interest is Brad Katona against Garrett Armfield. I'm going to start my clock. Katona, the guy was in the UFC for 2 matches and lost both. And it was really, really, really sad to see because considering who he went against, all of those guys are top contenders, right? So this has got to be one of the greater comeback stories. You lose and then you're out. Then you have to win a trailer load of matches, which you did at Shamrock FC. And very much like Anthony Johnson, if you remember, he got released, but then found his way back in. I'm not saying Katona's going to have similar results as whatever that would be. You know, what I'm saying I know my lane on that one, but here he is with another chance at a fresh start. Armfield is a grinder and a wrestler and a volume striker who knows when to go in for the kill and when to survey and diagnose. But that's the kind of person that's a stylistic dream for Katona. So I'm using the rest of the 10 seconds. I'm going to give you a whole minute for your match of interest. All right. But the man from the show me state, Missouri, is going to try just to do that. I don't think he's going to get it done though. I go with the Ultimate Fighter alum vet Katona.
Am I supposed to talk about that fight or no? I
No,
can pick my own.
no, pick your own. Get your own. I'm sure there's another Canadian you can throw in there.
Yeah, okay. So for my extra pick, I think I would talk about Jillian Robertson, who's fighting Polyana Viana. So, I mean, you're welcome again. Can we put up some photos of these two lovely ladies? But Jillian Robertson, again, former guest of the podcast, I do like her a lot. Don't forget, she submitted Rose Namajunas in like 30 seconds in a Fury grappling fight just earlier last year.
Yeah.
She's a killer. She's got the most submissions in women's flyweight history or blah, blah, blah. She's a killer. Jillian Robertson should be fighting for a title later this year in whatever division she wants. Now she's down to strawweight. I don't care where she goes. She's fighting for a title at some point this year. The next time she fights on Canadian soil, it better be defending a title or getting a title because that's the quality that she is. Polyana Viana, very, very good herself. Very interesting fighter. Her Instagram may be more interesting than her fights, but I'll leave that to you. That's a good fight to watch, though. That's open. I believe that's opening the prelims. So if Jillian Robertson is opening your prelims, you know you've got a pretty decent card. Or they have totally misplaced Jillian Robertson on this card, which is what I think. I think that there's a lot of other fights that should be lower on the card, and she should be much higher up because she's a star. She's a Canadian. You know, she deserves a better spot on this card, I would say for sure. But Jillian Robertson.
Very, very good pick because that was the one I was torn with, and I was like, I hope this guy comes around and does that. So when you did it, I just found myself cheering with you and you saying you're welcome before I even have a chance to say thank you. So allow me to take this time to say, Timmy B, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're the man. All right, so moving on to topic number 4, I affectionately refer to this as to shame or not to shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
All right, Timmy, we got a minute. Let's use our minute to shame or not to shame. In the spirit of staying with the ladies, all right, the conspicuous thing or not conspicuous thing is that the featherweight, there's no more featherweight rankings for the UFC because there's no featherweight division. So I guess shame or not to shame, is it a good riddance thing or it's a shame that we didn't have a chance to see things develop from that?
Me first?
Yeah.
I think it's a not to shame. I think that at some point you have to look at your divisions and you have to decide what we're going to do with these things. There's only so many places on the cards on every card for fights. You have to build divisions to create interest in things. And the 145, they continually had women that were dropping to 135. Aylin Perez being one, and Chelsea Chandler as another. So you've got women that generally were not true 145ers. They were able to make the drop. I think you want thicker, fuller divisions of what you do have rather than very sparse things in a division. And I think that, you know, for the history of the featherweights, they never had rankings because they never had like even 10 general fighters in that division. So I think you need to keep your roster small, concise, and focused. So I think no shame, get rid of the featherweights. It's okay. Other organizations can do it, and they are. That's fine, but not here, not at UFC.
Okay, my turn. You who made me cry when you said goodbye, ain't that a shame? Bum, 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 bum. Wanted to spend the first 10 seconds of this because I don't need a whole lot of time. That was just jibber jabber to lead me to it is a crying shame. And the shame is to blame. And the blame is one Chris Cyborg. Consider Strikeforce had a 145-pound division, and it was littered with women who were like, cool, I can eat what I want, I can walk around 170 and still starch some chicks, I'm good. Enter Cyborg, run for your life. Oh my god, I gotta go on a diet, I gotta drink the proper healthy shake and get to 135, right? I will say this, it was a shame because Chris Cyborg was the reason why the division was created, but at the same time the division didn't exist. And I will say this in my last 5 seconds. What would 135 or how big 125 would have looked if Cyborg could make it to 135? We'd be talking about how the bantamweight division doesn't exist anymore. This is why she belongs so high on our GOAT list. I'm telling you, and I'm not trying to disrespect female fighters who spend their life training, but I'm gonna just say, where's my camera? You ran from this woman, all of y'all. All of y'all that could have fought 145, that should have fought 145, that in fact won, and some of y'all that were 145s, ran from her. Big up to Leslie Smith. Big up to Ashley, whatever, Gina Carano. How about Gina on the takedown? Yeah. Remember that? She two occasions she got taken down and had like used those big legs to try to get a nasty triangle or whatever, right? You know, I'm just saying big because we're trying to, you know, divert our attention into this non-objectifying thing. So all right, that's all we got with the shame and not to shame. Two different takes, but both very, very, very worthy of our time and the time of our audience. So our next topic, I bring to your attention another favorite topic of mine. I go, quick question. Did any fights stick out to you between UFC 97 and 98? All right, between now and UFC 300, is there any fight that's grabbing your attention for this pay-per-view or the next 298 and 299? For example, I'll go first. A match of interest to me is Dustin Flowers and Michael Johnson. Depending on what Michael I'm going to see, then this is a quick question. That's my quick answer.
As a quick fight that is
as a fight that fight? Yeah, a fight coming up that you're like, this is flying under the radar between now and 300.
Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa is on 298. I just think, you know, the return of Whittaker is always something that, you know, the fans love. But I don't think we've really heard a lot about it. I don't see anything on my Instagram. Like, there's not a lot of Robert Whittaker love as you normally would see. And it's the goddamn return of Paulo Costa. The Secret Juice King is coming back. That dude is a Twitter star. I don't know why there's not a lot of focus on him. I think maybe they're just waiting till 297 gets done and then they'll start pushing that. But man, Paulo Costa, Robert Whittaker, that's a good fight, man. Wow, that's interesting and it's fun and it's funny.
It really is. All right, quick question. Do we think Max Holloway will ever get another title shot at 145?
Well, if he wins the BMF title against Justin Gaethje, that was just signed for 300, right? So if Max Holloway defeats Justin Gaethje
at 155, right?
No, I know, but he's getting the BMF title. It doesn't matter. Like, if he wins the BMF title against Justin Gaethje, and so now he becomes the BMF champion, going back to 155 and fighting for the title at least adds some interest, because what you would have to say is you've got to put your BMF title up on the line.
Right. Yep.
So he would use that BMF title to stamp his ticket for a third title shot against potentially Alexander Volkanovski by that time.
Mm-hmm.
Am I losing you? No,
No,
right?
you're
This
keeping
makes
me.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, this makes sense. Now, the thing is that in reality, let's hope that Volkanovski loses to Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria is now the champion. Max Holloway gets the BMF title, challenges Topuria, puts the BMF title on the line. I think that all
Yeah.
adds up, and it's
I
interesting.
say yes eventually, but Max, be careful. It's a heavier weight class against a hard hitter. I know you're Hawaiian and you could take a shot, but I'm actually a little
Him
afraid for
fighting Gaethje is career suicide,
pack a
mind
lunch.
you. I'm not,
Yeah, pack a lunch, dude.
yeah, you may die. You may die,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah, I don't think
Nope.
it's a good fight, but yeah.
No. Quick question? What's next for Islam Makhachev?
I don't know. Can you fight someone in your own weight class, you fucking idiot? Like, I hate this guy so much that he just fights people of all different divisions and all different weight classes. Why don't you fight some goddamn contenders? You're such a loser. I hate you.
Nice. I go Gaethje after the BMF. That's what I like. Quick question. Do you think Tough is done after this season? Or it's something the UFC?
No, I don't think Tough is done. I think they
Ever
keep
in
running
life.
Tough. I would prefer them to get rid of the Contender Series and get rid of Dana White looking for a fight and focus on Tough. I feel like these other two shows have really ruined their production budget or their production interest in the show. And in speaking with a bunch of fighters, people are not interested in going on Tough now because they think that the Contender Series is a far better option to get their ticket into UFC, because they go, well, wait a second, I can fight one time, one night on one fight to get my UFC contract. Why would I go through 6 months of taping, not being able to fight, not being able to tell people how I do, to then not even get my contract in the end anyways? It doesn't make sense. And if you think about what they've done to past people on the show, they don't even give them any fights after. Whereas we used to see like a bunch of the semifinalists and stuff still fight, at least maybe get one fight on the final show. They don't even get that anymore. But I like it in general. I just think I don't want it to go away, but I think they need to refocus on it.
I agree, and I feel like between all of my friends, I'm the only one that likes it, because everyone's like, "Oh my God, that show still exists," and I'm like, "Yes, yes." If it wasn't for that show, you wouldn't even be an MMA diehard right now, because most of you guys were attracted to the show. Look, there's a tough one a generation, right? I'm tough one generation, and then I went back retrospectively and then started watching UFC 1 and some or whatever. Then there's the pures, there's Timmy B, right? So, last question, quick question: should Israel fight at 205? Israel Adesanya.
Should yes, I didn't think the nation of Israel. Should Israel Adesanya fight at 205? I don't care. I hate that dude too. Screw him. Get out of here. All his stupid nonsense. I don't like him. I don't like him playing the race card all the time and all that garbage that he does and stuff like that. Get him out of here. I hate that dude. I could care less to see him at 205 or in any division.
And for all those reasons why I love the guy, it's a reason why I want to see him fight at 205. And I'm glad that if people choose to see the color of his skin and bring race up first, good for him. He should be addressing it, right? He's not coming into the room saying I'm black. I mean, people for some reason, it wouldn't even be a conversation if he was a different hue. So I'm glad he said what he had to say, except this whole South African thing with him and DDP, which I didn't like that, because that made him a racist. You know what I'm saying?
But there's the dog thing. There's all the other stupid stuff that he does. The Chinese thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. And mind you, I don't even care. Like your character is your
which
character.
The guy that beat him for the title. I mean, what does that say about the guy who actually beat him for the title, right? If Israel,
of course,
that man's Israel on steroids, if that's the case, right?
Yeah, I just think I don't know. I feel like,
what he said about the Chinese.
Sometimes we see people be champion for so long that it truly changes their behavior and stuff like that. And I just feel like he kind of got a little bit too big for his britches,
right?
And I just didn't like his attitude. I never really cared. I also, when you study his finishes of fights pre having a title versus post having a title, there's a very big difference. The dude would not finish fights when he didn't have a title. Oh, sorry. He did not finish fights when he was defending his title.
Right.
And to me, that was a little
same
bit
thing with Jones, right? How many finishes does Jones have? I mean, right? Like, a lot of them were decisions. And 2 of those decisions, I thought he lost. You know,
Yes.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, lost to an undefeated fighter. His name escapes me, but he's still in the UFC. I forgot his name. But Gustafson,
Reyes?
yeah, Dominic Reyes, right. And Thiago
Reyes.
Santos, I thought he lost. That was a split. I thought he won. That was a split decision, but a lot of people thought he lost that too. So,
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
had instead you had Khabib, who was a decision machine until he got his belt,
That's
and
right.
then he
And then
started
started
finishing.
finishing.
And
Yeah.
Demetrius Johnson too, right? A lot of decisions, and all of a sudden, okay,
Yeah.
you want an armbar? Okay, you want a gut punch to Cejudo? Oh, I bet that hurt, right?
Yeah.
Kicked him in the
Yeah.
stomach, right? That that like that after pain, you get kicked. It's like that don't hurt. Oh,
Yeah.
whoa! All right.
Yeah.
Cool, man. We're actually close to 50 minutes. We're just over, but we're close. So allow me to say our next topic before we go. So on this day, January 18th, on this day, Conor McGregor defeated Donald Cerrone in 40 seconds in the first round at a fight that was welterweight, 170. So this made Conor's win-loss record 2-1 at 170. And he is currently 1-3 at 155, and he is 7-0 at 145. The man who took the MMA community by storm has been where's my teleprompter? Right there. Why am I looking at this when I got a teleprompter? The man who took the MMA world by storm has been both an inspiration to many and at the same time a pain in the butt for others. If Conor never fought again, me personally, I will never forget the comeback against Chad Mendes. Sinead O'Connor singing his entrance song, there was something magical. And if I felt that way just watching it, like the people in attendance must have had goosebumps that looked like the moon, craters on the moon. Thoughts on Conor McGregor? Like if he never fought again, what's one thing you'll remember about him? Positively or negatively? You're Timmy B, you get to say what you want.
If he never fights again, what's the thing I remember is probably the Mayweather tour. Like in reality, I mean, that was
Oh,
crazy, dude. That was
I
crazy
watched that
that he
from
was
my
gonna.
memory, dude. But go ahead.
I mean, just what he had done there to widen the eyes on the MMA sport
Mm-hmm.
by getting that Mayweather fight and then going on that world tour where he would just trash Mayweather and make fun of him and play up to the crowd. That was crazy, and that really put MMA into the main stage much further than it had already been.
So
Like that
true.
was crazy. Um, I just remember watching those events, like those conferences or whatever you call them, like the interviews or whatever the hell they were,
Yeah.
that road
They were
show,
just,
just
yeah.
watching that. And it was just insane the world tour that they did on that. And it was funny as hell. And the fight lived up to it, man. Like that was a crazy time. That was a crazy time for boxing, a crazy time for MMA.
And I also thought even if he won somehow, some way, miraculously beat Floyd Mayweather, that would never happen in a million years. Floyd made it look close and entertaining, but if he did miracle that win, his career as an MMA fighter would have been over because there was so much promotional money from boxing. They could have gave him a $10 million fight and he'd be like okay because the you know what I'm saying, the points he'll get and the promotion and all that stuff, he would have been
Yeah.
richer beyond his years if he won that fight and did 3 more boxing matches. So win or
Yeah.
lose, I knew that was the end of his MMA career because if he lost, he still had $100 million in the bank, and it's really hard to get out of bed when you got $100 million in the bank. It is
Yeah.
just
I should know.
yeah.
I should know.
I mean, but that blazer though, that costs more than my education. So I know what's going on. Where'd you go
No,
to
yeah, I
college,
mean,
Jason? That costs more than your college.
I mean, the thing is too, though, is that like when he did it, he was co-promoting it with
Mm,
Dana, kind of with the UFC, right? So there was always that link as well, because Dana was always in the background of it,
yeah,
versus what you see now with like Ngannou and whatever. There's no MMA connection there. There's no MMA people behind him, stuff like that. Like there's no organization. So it was very different when Connor did it. It was very
right.
interesting.
We're short on time, but I want us to take 30 seconds about Connor again. Dana loves a promotion machine because he feels like he can just go to the press conference and just take the night off and watch, right? But Dana's learning with that gifted person comes the drawback, comes the flip side to that coin. What if he throws a dolly at a bus? What if he punches an old man at a bar? Right now, all of a sudden, you're back in the spotlight, and now you're working harder than you worked before when you thought this guy would give me a couple of nights off, like Ronda and like so many other popular fighters. Thoughts?
What is my thought on
Final thoughts on Connor before we go. He deserves the attention.
the guy on him as a person? Like
No,
the
no,
guy,
no,
the
no,
guy's
no. Whatever you're Timmy B. You can say what you want. Final thoughts.
my final thought on Connor is that he's never going to fight again. He's never going to fight in MMA again. I just did some research on what that whole new anti-drug doping policy is for UFC, like in terms of like bringing in what people will know as DFSI. That's what you hear. You
Right.
hear DFSI in place of USADA.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of things in the new policy that really seem to suggest that the UFC now has a lot of power to kind of wiggle someone through the process and get them into a fight. There's a lot of loopholes. It is nowhere close to as strong as USADA.
Right.
Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But regardless, I don't think Connor fights for the fact that, I don't know. I just don't think, like you're saying, the $1 million, the $100 million is hard to get up. I just don't think he does it. I see the videos, I see the training videos. I just don't think mentally he's going to do it. I think if he does, he picks a very easy opponent. I don't think he fights Chandler. I don't think he fights Gaethje. He's going to pick someone that he thinks he can muscle around or beat. Maybe even someone of a lighter weight class that he's going to drag up, like what he's saying he's going to do to Chandler. But I don't know. I don't think we ever see him fight again, and I'm kind of sorry for that. But
Nice.
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all we got. Let's plug in the Fight and Sight podcast. People want to know more about my man Timmy B that I had the honor, duty, and privilege of hosting with him.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I love being here, man. I love getting to chat with you and talk about all this stuff. If you do have any interest in MMA, or maybe you don't even, and you just want to see cool people and figure out cool stories about people, come on over and check out my podcast, Fight Insight Podcast. You find it on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Every week we got guests from around the world. Next week, Jason, I'm going to tell you something cool. There's a new MMA pension in California. People are not talking about this, but there is an MMA pension in California. On my podcast next week, we've got Assembly member Matt Haney from California.
Matt Haney.
He's the man that drafted and authored the bill that has now led to this MMA pension. So this is very, very exciting. That's the kind of guests we have. We've got fighters all the time, but we've got cool people too. So next week, if you're interested in stuff like that and educating yourself on things like that, come check us out. But every week we have a hell of a good time. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching this show. I love this show. I love being here. And dude, I can't wait for 297.
Come on, let's go. Coming this weekend.
Wait, I didn't mean UFC 297. I mean episode 297 of your show. 101. Let's get to 297, baby.
Man, I got the option coming up to 200, and then we'll go from there. But hey, everybody, Timmy B might love you, but me, I can't stand any of you. In fact, I don't even want to be around you anymore. In fact, I'm out of here. All right. So for all of you at home, for all of you on your iPads, for all of you on your desktop, who runs the world? Old school, baby, old school. For my man, Timmy B. From the Fight Inside Podcast. I'm Jason DeBeas from the Option Podcast. This is Sports Debate Tuesday. I'm going to give you the last picture. We're out of here. Come check out the Option Podcast on optionvb.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NYVarsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.